Sale forecast and sales budget. It's a very tiny topic in Unit 14. We have already discussed how we set up our short-term goals. We learned different budgeting methodologies. Now, how we draw up sales budget. Interestingly, you will not be asked on your exam how to draw up sales budget. In almost every situation, sales budget would be given to you and you would be required to draw up the production budget. So sales budget is always given. But let's see how the sale budget is drawn up. How do we forecast what the likely level of sale is going to be? We can use our historical trends. What was our sales in 2020, 2019, 2020, and when we can then project this into the future, 2022 and onwards. Historical trends will reveal some pattern of your sales, and this can help you anticipate. Let's say in 2021, our sale was 100,000 units, which was 10% higher than the last year. So we can expect our sales to go up by 10% by 2022 also. So it's going to be 110,000, for example. So the sale forecast can be based upon your historical trends. You can use regression analysis, which we discussed in our previous sessions. And you can use what you call the average annual growth rate or the annual average growth rate, whatever the way you want to call it, in the sales. Let us see how it is determined. It's fairly straightforward. Let us see the actual numbers. We have our sales for the last 5 years, and we want to predict what is likely sale in the 6th year. For this, we are going to calculate our average annual growth rate. How do we calculate? First of all, you will have to calculate the growth rate for each year. The growth rate for the 2nd year is the sales in year 2 minus sales in year 1 divided by sales in year 1. This is how it is calculated. Look at this. I will explain it to you, bringing it to see sales in year 2, 1318, less sales in year 1, 1146, divided by sales in year 1, the base year, 1146. So the increase in sale is 15%. What about the next year? In the 3rd year, sales fell to 1214, all in millions. 1214 millions in year 3. Year 2 was 1318. So 1214 less 1318 upon 1318, which is the 2nd year, the base year, you get 7.9 negative. That means there has been a negative growth in sales. And similarly, in this 5th year, 1589 less 1362 divided by 1362, that's the base year for year 5, that is 4. And you get a percentage of 16.7. Now, we have the annual growth rate in year 1, in year 2, 3, 4, and 5. What you can do, add all these growth rates and divide it with the number of percentages you have. How many percentages we have for year 2, 3, 4, 5 divided by 4. So it means our annual average growth rate has been 9%. We can use 9% to predict the sales for year 6, right? So this is how we can forecast based upon our past numbers. We can forecast the sales for the next year. So this is exactly what has been done here. Growth rate is calculated by taking the ending value less beginning value divided by the beginning value. Remember, for year 2 minus year 1 divided by year 1. Same for if you want to calculate the growth rate for year 3, sales for year 3 minus sales for year 2 divided by year 2. And this is how we calculated the growth rate for each year. When you have the growth rate for 4 years, divided with 4. When you have the growth rate for 5 years, divided with 5, this will give you the average annual growth rate. And you can use this percentage to anticipate, to project, or forecast your sales for the future. So remember, despite using these regression techniques, using historical patterns, or even using the annual average growth rate, you cannot ignore these important inputs to your sales determination. Your production capability plays a major role. You cannot sell what you cannot produce. If your productive capacity is limited to 100,000 units, your sale at max cannot be more than 100,000 units. Otherwise, you may have to purchase the goods which are ready-made from your competing businesses, and then you may increase your sales by buying from the finished product from the market. Otherwise, Your production capability will determine what you can sell. Similarly, inflation, increase in the general persistent increase in price level, that will also affect your sales. Higher inflation means people will have less purchasing power and means your sales might be affected. Advertising plays a major role. We discussed this in regression analysis. If you spend money on advertisement, people will get to know about your product and the sale is going to be higher. The more you spend on advertisement, the more awareness you create about your product and services, so the higher your sale goes up. And of course, promotional discounts, buy one, get one free, 10% off, so on and so forth. So these are the ways you can, it's a very tiny topic, as I said. So there are just 2 questions on your software related to sales forecast. This is a very good question indeed. A company sales budget for the coming year is as follows. We are expecting 200,000 items to be sold at 50, and this will bring us sales revenue of $10 million. We are expecting to sell 150,000 units for item 2 at rate of 10. That is the anticipated sale revenue on item 2. Same for item 3. So we sell 3 items. These are the anticipated quantities or the forecast quantities. These are the standard selling prices. These are the expected revenues, and this is the sales budget for the coming period. Right now, this is a very twisted question, interesting. At the same time, it will teach you 2 important concepts from economics: complementary goods and substitute goods. I'll explain. Item 1 and 2 are different models of the same product. Different models of the same product. You can call it Toyota 1998 versus Toyota 2005. Same products, but different models, right? So older Toyota, new Toyota. So item 1 and 3 are different models of the same product, which means if item 1 and 3 are the different models of the same product, so it means they are substitutes. If you buy item 3, you won't buy item 1. If you buy item 1, you won't buy item 3, just like Pepsi and Coke. If you buy Pepsi, you won't buy Coke, and vice versa. So item 1 and 3 are substitute for one another. You just buy one of these, not 2, 1 and 3 together, not the 2 of them together. Then next, item 2 is a complement of item 1. Complement items, complement products are those products or goods which are jointly demanded. Bread and butter, ball and bat, right? Car and fuel. So the items that are jointly demanded, that have joint demand, they are called complements. So item 1 and 2, if you buy item 1, you will buy item 2, right? So they are linked. So you can say 1 and 3, they are either 1 or 3. And 1 and 2, they are complements, means if you buy 1, you buy 2. If you buy 2, you buy 1, right? So this is how the items are linked to one another. Past experience indicates that the sales volume of item 2 relative to the sales volume of item 1 is fairly constant. If you sell 100 units of 1, you fairly sell about 120 units for item 2. So they are linked, they are sold together because these 2 items are complementary goods, complementary items. They are sold together or they are jointly demanded. Okay. The company is considering a 10% price increase for the coming year for item number 1. Now, let us just discuss some economic concept before moving on to the other text here. Item 1 and 2 are complementary. So if you are going to increase the price of item 1, the law of demand tells us if the price of a certain item goes up, its quantity demanded will fall. Since item 1 and 2 are jointly demanded, they are complements. So if you increase the price of item 1, the quantity demanded for item 1 will fall. So the law of demand tells us the quantity demanded for item 2 should fall as well, even though there has been no change in the price of item 2. That's what the law of demand tells us. Is it so here? The company is considering a 10% price increase for the coming year for item 1, which will cause sales of item 1 to decline by 20%. The law of demand, while simultaneously causing the sale of item 3 to increase by 5. Let us bring in picture item 3. Remember, Pepsi and Coke, they are substitutes. So if the price of Pepsi goes up, people will substitute, they will purchase more of Coke. The demand of Coke will go up. Now, 1 and 2, we know this. When price of item 1 goes up, the quantity demanded for 1 and 2, they will both fall because 1 and 2, they are complements. Now, bring this item 3 in picture also. If the price of item 1 goes up, and item 3 is a substitute for item 1, so people will switch their spending from 1 to 3. So it will happen simultaneously, the demand for item 3 will go up. So if you just change one string in the whole composition, if you increase the price of item 1, quantity demanded for item 1 will fall, quantity demanded for item 2 will fall, and at the same time, since 1 and 3 are substitutes, so quantity demanded for 3 will increase. Right? So this is how it's going to be. So it says if you increase the price of item 1 by 10%, the new price is going to be 55. It will cause sales of item 1 to decline by 20%. Your sales, the quantity demanded will decline by 20% because the law of demand is operational. So 20% of 200,000 will be 40. So the new level of sales will be 160. Now, the next line. While simultaneously causing the sale of item 3 to increase by 5%, since 1 and 3 are substitute, when 1 becomes expensive, people will spend more money on item 3. And its sale is going to go up by 5%. 5% increase in 300,000 is going to be 315. This is the new quantity of item 3 because of the increase in price of item 1. Now, the question is silent about item 2, but we must remember this important information given here. Past experience indicates that the sales volume of item 2 relative to item 1 is fairly constant. If the demand for item 1 fell by 20%, even the question is silent, we will have to reduce the demand for item 2 by 20% also, because the information given is very explicit. So since item 1 and 2, they are jointly demanded, if the demand for item 1 falls, the demand for item 2 will fall by same percentage, that is 20%. So I'm going to reduce it by 20%. So the new level of sale is going to be 120. So if this is so, if the company institutes the price increase for item number 1, the total sales revenue will decrease by, so what you're going to do, multiply the new price of item 1 with the new quantity, 160,000 multiplied by 55. So you get 8.8 million from item 1, 120,000 multiplied by item 30, the price 30, that's 3.6 million. And lastly, 315 multiplied by 30, that gives you 9.45 million. So if you add all these 9.45 million plus 3.6 million plus 8.8 million, it gives you a total of this needs to be corrected. It's 120 multiplied by 10, it's going to be 1.2 million. 1.2 million. So your new sale is going to be 8.8 million plus 1.2 million plus 9.45 million. Your sale is going to be 19.45 million. New sale is going to be 19.45 million if we change just the price of item 1. And if this is so, it's going to decrease by 1.05 million. So if you institute the change in price in item 1 only, since item 1, 2, and 3, they are connected, so it will cause the overall revenue to decline by 1.05 million. So that makes C to be the correct option. Then a large manufacturer's forecast of total sales revenue for the year is least likely to be influenced by. Remember, a large manufacturer forecast of total sales for the year is least likely to be influenced by which of these factors? Input from sales personnel, your sales staff, whatever input they give, it is very important. It will influence your sales budget. It will influence your sales forecast. expected shortages of the key raw materials. It will affect your production, which in turn affect your sales. It will affect your sales. Anticipated interest rates and unemployment rates. Interest rates, they affect your sales. If interest rates go up, people will have less purchasing power. They will be able to afford less money, and eventually your quantity demanded will fall. If the interest rates fall, people spend more, your sale goes up. Unemployment rates. If unemployment rates fall, people have money to spend, your sale goes up. If unemployment rates go up, people are unemployed, they don't have money, your sales will fall. So they will affect your sales. BCD, they will influence your sales. What will not influence? The seasonal pattern of sales revenue throughout the year. You may argue that seasonality affects your sales. Yes, it does. But I emphasize on the words large scale manufacturer. He has the capability to foresee the dip and increase in different sales volume on different seasons. So he anticipates them happening. He knows when his sales dip. He knows when the sale picks up each season. So this is not something that will deter him from it. It will influence, but it's manageable. But these three, they will affect to a greater extent. And that's why A is the right answer.